all get together and talk about sexual choices with our senior elementary students. Hi, I'm Nadine Thornhill, sexuality educator. Welcome to Save Sex Ed, the series where I teach every sex education module from Ontario's health and phys ed curriculum. So if you are new here, you want to know what's going on, then you can click the I up there, and you can also hit the subscribe button, which is down below. Also hit that bell so that you get notified every time there is a new video. The Health and Phys Ed curriculum for grades 1 through 8 outline the following learning objectives for grade 7. Explain the importance of having a shared understanding with a partner about the following: delaying sexual activity until they are older, the reasons for not engaging in sexual activity, and in general, the need to communicate clearly with each other when making decisions about sexual activity in the relationship. Demonstrate an understanding of physical, emotional, social, and psychological factors that need to be considered when making decisions related to sexual health. That is a lot of learning for you to smash into one activity, but I believe in you, so let's get this done. For this activity, you are going to need index cards or paper in 3 different colors. You are going to need pens and pencils for your group or your students to write with, and you are going to need a download, which will be available on my website, NadineThornhill.com. I will link it up there, and I will link it down below. Before you run your activity, you are going to need to do some preparation. So separate your paper or your index cards by color. On the first set of cards, the first color, you are going to write on each card a reason for practicing abstinence. On the second set of cards, on the second color, on each card you are going to write a sexual health need. On the third set of cards, the third and last color, you are going to write the names of people who might influence our sexual decisions. And I will have a list of all of those things on the download that's on my website. So again, up there, down there. Okay. If the number of students or kids in your class is divisible by 3, you are going to copy each card in triplicate. If the number of kids is divisible by 4, then you are going to make 4 copies of each card. Explain to your group or class that at their age, most youth are not having partnered sex. However, there are still considerations to make around their sexual health, and there may be considerations to make around relationships if they are in a romantic relationship. Everyone in the class is going to get 3 cards, 1 from each category. So abstinence, sexual health concerns, and influences. You're going to distribute the cards 1 color at a time. So start with the abstinence cards, shuffle them up and just hand them out randomly. And then do the same thing with the sexual health cards and with the influence cards. Shuffle them up, hand them out randomly. And so what should happen is that for any given card, there should be 3 different people, or if you did 4 different people in your group who have the same thing on their card. Start by having everyone look at their abstinence card and explain that on that card is a reason for practicing abstinence. Then explain that somewhere in the group, there are 2 other people who have the same reason on their card, and that they should find those 2 other people. Once the group is together, they should discuss the benefits of that choice, the challenges that choice might present, and how they might talk about that with a partner. After 5 minutes, have the groups break apart. Now the students are going to look at the card they have with a sexual health concern, and again, they are going to find the people in the group who have that same concern on their cards. They're going to get together, they're going to form groups. Now they're going to talk about who could help them address that health concern, what could make it easier to get the care or information they need, and what could make it more challenging to get the care or information they need. Again, after 5 minutes, everyone will break apart. And finally, they are going to look at their card that lists a person who might influence their decisions or their choices around their sexual health or their sexual relationships. They are going to, find their small group members. And this time they are going to discuss how the person on that card could influence their choices or their decisions in a positive way, and how they might influence their decisions in a negative way. If you've small group, like only 6 or 9 kids, you can run the activity more than once and hand out, a set of cards, run the activity, and then hand out a new set of cards and run the activity again. Once the small groups are done, bring everyone back together and debrief the activity by asking the following questions. What were some reasons for being abstinent? What does it mean to be abstinent? What are some of the benefits that you thought of? And what are some of the challenges you thought of? What are some sexual health concerns that people can have? What people did you think of that might help us address our sexual health concerns? What can make accessing care or information easier for you? And what can make accessing care or information harder for you? And finally, who can influence our sexual choices in a positive or a negative way? Conclude by explaining that ultimately we have to make the choices about what's right for our bodies and for our relationships, and that nobody can tell us what those choices are, and that it's important to be informed so we can make the best decisions that we can. Talking to our kids about abstinence can be really important, particularly if we have tweens or younger teens who may not be ready for sexual activity or partnered sexual activity, or if abstinence is, an important value that we hold. And we can go beyond simply saying, hey, I think abstinence is a good idea. Be abstinent. We can actually ask our kids, what do they think the word abstinence means? Have they thought about how they would practice abstinence? Have they thought about, how they might talk about that if they were in a relationship with, a crush or a sort of romantic partner? And I will link to my video on abstinence up there and down below. It's also important to share your values about, sexual choices and sexual activity with your kids. You can talk about some of the sexual choices you've made, both positive choices and negative choices. Now, you don't need to go into explicit detail. In fact, please don't go into explicit detail because no kid wants to hear that stuff about their parent. But as a parent or caregiver, just talking about the fact that, you have had to make choices about, relationships or possibly sex or possibly not sex, just helps to normalize the fact that, we all have to make decisions around our bodies and around the way, we relate to other people in our lives. Now, as their parents or caregivers, we cannot tell them when they are ready to have partnered sex. Well, we can tell them, but it doesn't mean they have to listen to us because that is a very personal, individual decision. But we can help them think about, what readiness means to them by asking them questions and starting a conversation. So what are the questions? Those are coming up right now. What would you hope to get out of a sexual experience emotionally? Do you think sex might change your relationship with a partner? If so, how? How would you want to practice safer sex? How would you talk to a partner about practicing safer sex? Resources. The website advocatesforyouth.org have some other really cool exercises that you can run in a class or group around, issues like abstinence and delayed sexual activity. The Hassle-Free Clinic, Planned Parenthood, and Action Canada for Sexual Health and Rights all have information about where to find a healthcare provider and sexual health information on their websites. You can also connect with a local sexual health clinic or a local LGBTQ center to get more information about sexual health and sexual health services in your community. In the comments below, let me know who or what influences your life decisions. So for me, that could be friends, could be colleagues, could be my partner or my kid. Sometimes it can be the spirit of my father, not because I go around talking to ghosts. I do not have that ability, but I will often think, well, what would my dad say about this situation, or what would his opinion be, or what would he feel about it? And that guides me in a way. That's all for now. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye. You can help me continue creating free sex ed content by supporting me on Patreon. For as little as $3 a month, you'll get access to all sorts of goodies, so head on over to patreon.com/Nadine Thornhill or click the link down in the description below.